Hello, hello all. Today we will again understand about the HTML basics. Okay, so let's start our HTML. In the previous subjects of web design, you have the understanding of the HTML, but right now because it is in our unit second, we need to revise those concepts and the difference between the HTML5 as well. Or how we are proceeding towards the HTML from HTML4 to HTML5 to understand in brief manner. Now, for our understanding, we should understand that HTML and XHTML are the foundation of all web development. HTML is used for the graphical user interface in client-side programming written in JavaScript. Server-side language like PHP and Java also receive data from the web pages and use HTML as the output mechanism. So what is the HTML is all about? HTML is the front end and the PHP and Java is the back end. And in between, for client-side processing, we have a JavaScript. Okay. Now, I'm Ajax technology, which was introduced from the .NET. Okay, we use HTML and XML as their visual engine. Okay, we have an example of the Google Maps. No? So HTML is one of the loosely defined language with a very little standardization, and this standardization has been taken care by the W3, okay, W3C, World Wide Web Consortium, okay. What has become more important that the need for the standards have become more apparent because everybody's developing some sorts of thing in the on the web domain that then we need to standardize them. So regardless of whether we choose to write HTML or XHTML, understanding the current standards will help us to provide a solid foundation which will simplify our current coding structure. But let me tell you, fortunately, we understand that HTML and XHTML are the simpler ones, and that is used for the simpler ones. And for the more functionality, we move towards CSS and JavaScript. So, what are the common elements in the HTML and XHTML page? Every page of HTML or XHTML shares certain elements in common. All are essential plain text with the HTML.html extensions. HTML files should not be created with the word processors, but in some type of editor that create plain text. Every page contains a large container of the HTML or XHTML and two major subcontainers, the head and the body. The head contains area information useful behind the scenes, such as the CSS formatting instructions and JavaScript code. The body contains the part of the page that is visible to the user. And what are the tags and attributes? HTML document is based on the notion of the tags. A tag is a piece of text inside angular brackets. Tags typically have a beginning and an end, and usually contains some sorts of the text inside them. For example, a paragraph is normally denoted like this. Paragraph, this is simple paragraph, paragraph. Okay. Now, let's understand the paragraph tag. The paragraph tag indicates the beginning of the paragraph. Okay. Paragraph tags gives us the it's used in the beginning of the paragraph. Okay. This is in the beginning of the paragraph. Okay. And then this when we have a forward, then when we have when we need to enter tag, then we introduce the slash, then tag thing. Then it's close the tag. So this is the starting of the tag. This is the ending of the tag. Okay, let's go. Now how the given tags have an attributes. We understand in our previous lecture how the image has been uploaded on the HTML document. The image has been uploaded by the image by having the source and the name of the image. So tags are something enhanced by the attributes which are name, value, where, and that modify the tags. For example, image tag used to embed an image into a page. usually includes the following attributes, that is source, this source one, and this alteration, this is which is the logo of the thing. Tags are sometimes enhanced by the attributes. We know this. So source attribute describes where the image file can be found, and the alt attribute describes alternative text that displayed if images are available. Sometimes we have some issues, so we are not able to display the tags. That's image is unavailable. Okay, then only where image is unavailable, because sometimes we haven't that much of the bandwidth, so from which we are able to get this image. So on the place of this, we just go for the alternative what we have said. This is a logo, and then when the bandwidth comes, that image displayed itself. There are some nested tags as well. Okay, and that is frequently found, like text, but it can't be overlapped. One should understand that text can be nested, but it can't be overlapped. And in this example, okay, like in this example, you say that B has been nested within A. Okay, okay, B has been nested within A. Is not a legal term. Nesting can be done like this: A and B. It's like making a functional change, like one function, as we define in when we define a function, then it's closure bracket. Then we define a function, then it's closure bracket. Then the sub function is defined within a starting, then it's closure bracket. Same fundamental has been applied in the nesting as well. We define this like this. This is function. This is a sub function. So tags are, nesting of the tags is allowed, but we need to understand the legality of the tags as well. Okay. Now, what is difference between HTML and XHTML? So HTML is around sometime because it was introduced in the 1990s. While it has done job admirably well, but we need to our expectation towards the web domain has been when increase. So HTML has a very limited layout support. What are the demands are arising from the market for the web. So and browser manufacturers added many competing standards, and web developers come up with a clever workouts, but the result is a lack of standard and frustration for the web developers. So the latest web standards was being known as the XHTML, the emerging 5.2 standards. Go back to the original purpose of the HTML to describe the structure of data only and leave all formatting, CSS and all to the different file. So whenever we need to define the formatting thing has been taken care of by the different file, and the data structure of the data content is taken by the HTML. So XHTML is nothing than the HTML code is conforming to the stricter standards of the stricter standards of the XML. The same style guidelines are appropriate whether you write in HTML or XML, but tend to enforce it in XHTML. We try to use a document type to describe the language. Here in the XHTML, we try to write all codes in the lowercase letters. We encache not all attributes values in the double quotes. Okay. We have a each tag must have an end specified. This is normally done with the ending tag, but a special case allows the non-content tags. Okay. What is the basic difference between the HTML or XHTML? Most of the requirements of the XHTML turn out to be good practice whether you write HTML or XHTML. I recommend using HTML strict so you can validate your code know all of the strictest standards. XHTML is a number of the favors that the strict type is recommended as it is most up-to-date standard, which will produce the most predictable results. You can also use transitional type, which allows depreciated HTML tags in a frame set type, which allow to add frames. For most applications, the strict type is preferred. Now, this is for understanding of our thing, we have a HTML template here. How the HTML works actually. Here, it is HTML. opening bracket, closing bracket, then it will be head, opening bracket, closing bracket, and we will define title within it. And after that, after HTML, then head, then title, then we have our body. In the body, we define our structure of the content. We define the structure of the content. Okay. So now there is a terms used in nowadays. What is the validation? This validation is all. The structure of a web page is critical to the success of the program based on those pages. So we use the validating tools to ensure you must not miss anything. So like WC3, the most commonly used validator online is the http validator.w3.org. This field to check your page against the doc type you specify ensures you the following the standards. This acts as a spell checker for your code and warns you if you made an error like forgetting to close a tag. Like this. HTML tidy. There are outstanding free tools like HTML tidy which not only checks your page for validity but also fixes most errors automatically. Download this tool as a tidy.source or better use HTML validator extensions to build tidy into your browser. HTML validator extensions. The extension mechanism of the Firefox makes it a critical tool for the web developers. The HTML validator extension is an invaluable tool. It automatically checks any page you view in your browser against both the W3 validation engine and tidy. It can instantly find errors and repair them on the spot with tidy. With this free extension available at the http://user.skynet.b/mquery/Mozilla. So we should validate our codes for for following the standardizations. There are some codes. There's open source tools for standardization service like Apenta, web developer toolbars, like add-ons we get from the Mozilla, like the Firebar. This is for your understanding only that we can validate our the HTML code with the defined softwares. Okay. Now, the following elements are the part of every web page. HTML surrounds the entire web page. Okay, head contains information about the metadata, like metadata, CSS styles, JavaScript code, and all. What are the titles? Titles hold the page title normally displayed in the title bar and used in search results. What are the body? Contains the main body text. All parts of the page normally visible are in the body. What are the key structural elements? So key structural elements. What are the key structural elements? Key structural elements are the following, like H1, S2, S3, H4, H5, H6. So what is this H1 is? H1 is something when we have a strongest emphasis that is taken care within H1, and when it is the secondary level emphasis, then we taken care of S2. Like that, we have a 6 levels for definition of the emphasis. Okay. Then we have a paragraph. So when we need to define a paragraph within a HTML page, we use a paragraph. Then we have a divisions, which will help us. Which is similar to the paragraph, but normally marks a section of the page. Division usually contain paragraphs. Okay. Now there are some tags which is used for the list and data encapsulation within HTML. Okay, like UL. UL is unordered list. Normally, these list features bullets, but that can be changed with CSS. OL, these, which is known as the ordered list. These usually are the numbered, but this can be changed with CSS. LI, list items, used to describe a list item in an ordered list or an unordered list. Definition list, used for the list with name value pairs. Definition term, the name in a name value pair used in definition list. DD definition description, the value or definition of name value pair. Okay, these are the things: list, definition term, definition description. ठीक है. अब आता है table. Table is used to get a data in a tablet form. For this, we use a table tag. Okay. And for table tag, for the we need a row and column. For the row, we use tr, defines the table show. This table normally consists of the several tr tags, and then they have td, and which indicates the data in the table cell. Then we have a th, which indicates the table heading, indicates the table cell treated as a heading with the spatial format. Okay. So these are the some commands which are used in structuring the data within an HTML, like ordered list, unordered list, list items. Then we define those lists, then we define those terms, then we define definition of the descriptions. Okay. Then we have table, then we have table row, then we have table data, then we have table heading. Okay. Now let's move. Standard list types. What are standard list types? There are two standard list types. Three actually. One is the ordered list and ordered list primary type, but default ordered list use numeric identifier and unordered list use bullets. So when we use ordered list, like here in this example, we have 1, 2, 3. It will be represented 1, 2, 3 numerically without. So we can nest the ordered list, unordered list as well. So within an ordered list, we can go for the unordered list. Within the ordered list, we can go for the unordered list. Like nesting example, but we need to follow the basic rules what we have discussed. So in the unordered list, here in example, we start with the English, then we make a ordered list of 1, 2, 3. So after English, we will get a 1, 2, 3. Then we make a list of a French, that is, then we make an ordered list of the unused tribes. Okay, so within the unordered list, we got we got a listing of the English and French. And in the English, we got 1, 2, 3, and in the French, we got unused tribes. Okay, this will be the result of this example. What is the definition list? The special definition is the name and value pair, name by value pair. Okay, the definition term DT is a word or phrase that is used as a list marker, and the definition data is normally as a paragraph. Okay, take an example. We are having a emphasis S2, and we have a heading of types of list. Then we have a definition list in which we define the DT definition term, an ordered list, in which we write normally use for the bullet list where the order is different not required. Then we have a DT, ordered list, normally use the numbered items, for example, list of instruction where the order is insignificant. Okay. Then we have a definition list, which is used to describe a term and definition, often a good alternative to column table. Okay. So we have ordered list, unordered list, and definition list. Definition list, like we use to describe a term when you know when we do not want to use the two-column table. Okay. Then let's move for the use of tables. Tables were used in the past to overcome the page layout shortcomings of HTML. These use now depreciated in the favor of the CSS-based layout. Used tables only as they were intended to display tabular data. Table mainly consists of the series of table rows TR. Each table consists of the number of table data TD, and table heading element can be used to indicate a table set should be marked as a heading. The row span and column span. What is the attribute of the table tag? Can be used to make a cell span more than one row or column. Each row of the table should have the same number of columns, and each column should have the same numbers of rows. Use of the span attribute may require adjustment to the other row and columns. This is an example of tables. We are having a table border of 1 inch. We introduce a table row in which we are putting data of English and French. Then we close that row. Then we have a next row in which we are putting 1 and UN. In the second row, we are using 2 and 2s, and we complete the table. We will get a result like this. A table. We just will get a result like this. A table. In one row, we will have English, and then French. Second row we have one, one, this is two, and two values like this. The result will be like this. Okay. That's good. What are the links and images? What is the links and images? So, in previous slides, we understand about the basic structures of the HTML and basic structure division of the HTML, in which we use HTML tag, then head, in which we use HTML tag, head tag, title tag, okay, the body tag, and within that we define various things for representatives for our representation. Paragraph is for the essays part, for the word representation, for the sentence lines. Ordered list for some ordering of ordered situation, ordered data, unordered list for the unordered data, definition table, we don't want to use table, but we want to, make a statement in the ordered way, then we use it in the definition to list. Then we have various various different sets, very different structures tags as well. Like if you want to embed an image, then we use image as image tag with the source and attributes. These are the tags which is used for the making a single web page, making a single web page with our desired data. Now here the next uh, section, when you can say that here we are going to discuss about how the HTML page is connected from the one page to another. For this we use the anchor tag. Anchor text provides us the basic web link with the help where with his attribute hyperreference (href), and after like this in this example, links and images both used to incorporate external resources into page. Both are reliant on URI, universal resource indicators, commonly referred as the URLs or addresses. Okay. The anchor text is used to provide the basic web link hyperreference. It is a www.example.com link to example one. In this example, we will visit www.example.com when we click that link to the example.com. Okay. Now, what is absolute and relative references? What is absolute and relative references? So the link tag is used primarily to pull in external CSS files. Okay, the link style sheets, like link relative style is style sheets, types is text space CSS, hyperreferential style.css, and these are something like when we pull the data from the external, okay, we have a relative references. When we use an image, valid formats like JPG, PNG, and GIF, then image can be biden or can be aligned or can be height in favor of, with help of the CSS documentations. So this is the example of their absolute and relative references. What is the specialty markup? Some codes are specially defined. Some codes are some tags are specially defined, like code tag, which help us to give the emphasis in better way. Okay. That's the way it is. So we code we if we need some special tags for our styling, we can use a code tag for emphasizing, which is better than H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and 6. And once you understand that the code is a inline tag, if you need a block level code, we need a block code. Okay. So quote will help to emphasize the whole thing which is within it. And if we need a block of code to be emphasized, we can use the block code. What is the pre text is known as the pre-formatted text. Sometime when you copy the thing from some word page to HTML page, we use this thing and we instruct that thing. So if we copy a word file and having a different points like different points of the words like 12, 14, 16. So in the precondition, we just make a range, and within range you can only uh, copy the data from a document to the HTML file. What is special? There is a one more specialty markup tag, which is known as the code. Okay, code markup tag is used for the manage the pre-formatted text. Like here in this example, we are using while I is less than 2, I plus I should be matlab, plus 1. Then we print I. Okay, here we are using a code and we will print I till 20, less than 20 till 19. Okay. What's the block code? Block code is used to mark multi-line codes. Frequently it is set off with the special fonts and indenting through CSS. It is a block level special codes. What is a span? The span tag is a vanilla inline tag. It has no particular formatting of its own. It is intended to use the class of ID when you want to apply style to an inline chunk of the code. Okay. What is EM? EM tag is used for the standard emphasis. By default, EM italicizes text, but you can use CSS to make any other type of emphasis. What is strong? This tag represents the strong emphasis. By default, it is a bold, but you can modify the formatting with CSS. Till date, we understand about the HTML. We understand about some more advanced text as well. So in the next lecture, we'll understand about the forms, field sets, legend, label, input, text, password, radio button, checkboxes, and all. Okay, so this thing we'll take in on the next lecture. Hope you understand the HTML and you have a revision. Thank you.